Now, you can get one low monthly price for up to 10 years. You're not stuck with increasing costs. You can do something about this today. Call MetaShare 65 Plus. Find out how much you can save. Call 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE 55. 833-SHARE-55.
Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. A dense fog advisory remains in effect. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times, with fog in spots early today with a chance of thunderstorms. High temperatures reach up to 80, winds out of the southeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of thunderstorms tonight, lows dip down to about 65, cloudy skies expected. Chance of thunderstorms tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 88, mainly sunny skies. Bright sunshine expected Thursday with daytime highs approaching 84, 91. Light chance of thunderstorms Friday. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 93 Saturday, 91 Sunday, and 91 on Monday. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Right now, it's 67 degrees.
Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio is the place to turn to weekdays for the latest agriculture news and markets. Being a member of the National Association of Farm Broadcasters, we take pride in making sure you're informed of the latest news from the world of agriculture. Whether it's local, state, regional, or national, if it affects your farm or ranch, you can count on hearing it here. Daily reports from Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio are made possible by Farmers State Bank, Norder Supply of Scott City, Cornerstone Ag, and Woofter Construction and Irrigation.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Summertime is here, and so are your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores with anything and almost everything you need for these warm days. Give your place a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep your lawn looking its best with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. And they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills from Traeger and Weber, plus the popular flat-top Blackstone griddles. Find it all and much more at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Colby and Goodland, open every day but Sunday.
Are you in search of a new pickup? Well, why not trust the team at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas, as they currently have great deals on all kinds of trucks. Get yourself into a 2024 GMC Sierra 1500 pickup with 5.9% APR plus $3,250 purchase allowance when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Or get a 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 pickup with 5.9% for 84 months. As always, go to hurlchev.com to schedule any service or check out what's on the lot, or just stop on by in South Goodland.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, Josh at Oakley Ag Center, your Case IH dealer.
They say this time of year is the most popular time for farm families to vacation. I mean, the county fairs are over. School hasn't started. A bit of a break before wheat drilling and fall harvest. At Oakley Ag Center, they remind you when you need them. The sales, parts, and service departments are ready to keep you going, including service trucks that can be rolled to your location.
Call or stop by Oakley Ag Center, Colby Ag Center, or Hoxie Implement, your Northwest Kansas Case IH dealers.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Being a fan of Nebraska football and watching this team the last few years, I kind of compare it to like eating Taco Bell. You know you shouldn't do it, but it feels good in the moment. Then you end up regretting it a day later.
And Christian Peck-Dimit.
I'm a cheap, illegitimate child at heart. But not that I'm illegitimate.
The region's only local sports talk.
Oh, no, not these guys again.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 1025. Simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Oh, God, they're everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
It's been a long, long time. But the Goodland Cowboys are going to play for a state title.
to the pros.
Touch of all time, the Grand Tour, Michael Tolia.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work. Rep Snyder on a line, left center field, and that's down, and that's the ball game. Good night from Fenway.
And that's hit well to left field. Melendez is at the wall, leaping, and he got it.
Thank you very much, Hazel. And how about swinging at the first pitch and comes up with a big league hit, his first at bat, and he's headed for second base. How about that? Not wasting any time. Who said he's nervous? What a job by Will Wagner. And you.
Pitch to Rogers, and Brennan will hit that to center field. It's pretty deep. Thomas is going back. He's at the wall, and it is gone. It just kept carrying to center field.
And good Tuesday morning, everybody. Glad to be with you here on the Morning Blitz on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. And, of course, 730 Gold, KLOE. August the 13th. You can definitely tell we're getting back into the swing of school. Driving to work today, there was certainly more traffic. Because Fort Hays Tech Northwest, hey, I got it right, was class in session, I believe, for the first day today. And so there was definitely more just traffic in town. So
that's early.
That's where they're at right now. So they're back. I think the move-in day was move-in weekend was kind of this past weekend. They kind of had like orientation type deal, I think, yesterday. And then
not early? To me, I don't know. When I was in college, we started.
I think it's about on par.
2 weeks. That's on par.
I think it's on par for this type of deal. I think they're usually about a week ahead of the high school, which gets going next week. I think the 21st, 22nd, I think is the first day of school. It's that time. It is that time. We have almost made it to the dog days of summer. Christian will have assisted me to the dog days of summer till this Saturday. And then when things get good, starting next week, he won't be here. But I do have to say, we did not plan this, but we look like Captain America on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC broadcast video stream because we're wearing our American colors, red, white, and blue. So very Americana here on the Morning Blitz. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. We're going to start kind of our high school football previews a little bit today. Oakley head football coach Jeff Hennick is going to be joining us here coming up at the bottom of the hour to talk Oakley Plainsman football. Jeff has had a fantastic career there at Oakley after a very, very good career at his alma mater at Wallace County. And so Jeff has kind of spent time with us here at the bottom of the hour, talking a little Plainsman football for the 2024 football season. So we're going to start talking a little bit of high school football here this week, starting with Jeff Hennick coming up at the bottom of the hour. We will also get into what happened last night in baseball. It makes me smile and chuckle, which we'll get to that coming up at the bottom of the
Just because the D-backs won?
Hey, don't spoil it for me. No, it is. Because, well, we'll get into more. The Rockies got a fantastic start.
Yeah.
And we'll get to more on that coming up. But I want to kick off the show. Christian brought this up. I'm so proud. I'm started to kind of mold him into the person I wanted to be before I sent him off into the world. But anyway, that's right. We're going to talk some college football. The AP Top 25 came out yesterday. Kansas and Kansas State both in the top 25. And also an interesting article from ESPN based upon the AP Top 25 floor and ceilings for all the top 25 teams, which I thought was an interesting read. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit. Also, I do remind folks, the FB Bank text line is open. And if you'd like to chime into the show with your thoughts and comments, love to hear that. Even your rain reports. Rob got up this morning, texted in 1/1400ths of an inch of rain this morning down in Weston. So thank you to Rob for chiming in on the FB Bank text line. So if you had any rain, I don't think we really got much, at least in Goodland. I think it kind of, if it was anything, it was extreme.
You got gapped again?
I don't want to say gapped, but it was close.
Okay.
It was close.
We got a fair amount. We got a lot of thunder and lightning for a very brief time.
Got a little light and sound show, did you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I watched Fargo yesterday, and now I'm stuck in the. Oh yeah, don't you know?
Which version of Fargo are
The
you?
96, 96, the
Okay,
movie.
there's like a bunch of newer versions.
I know, so I've
FX
heard.
and stuff.
But I'm stuck back in that Minnesota accent. Always makes me laugh. Oh, don't you know?
Anyway, but yeah, that's the show for today. And so if you want to be a part of it, hit us up on the FNB Bank text line. The AP Top 25 coming out yesterday for college football just means we're getting closer and closer. Now, we have college football games coming up a week from this Saturday.
Crazy.
4 of them to be exact. 4 games highlighted by the Aer Lingus Classic over in Dublin, Ireland, which is where Kansas State and Iowa State will be playing a year from now.
That's right.
In the 2025 season. But this year we get an ACC matchup of what is Florida State and Georgia Tech, which I do think will be interesting. And so that's coming up here a week from this Saturday. And then you got a few other teams. You get like Nevada and Hawaii. And although I think Montana State, New Mexico, for whatever reason, could be an interesting game because Montana State's really good at the FCS level and New Mexico is like not very good at the FCS level.
Those are always fun.
So you could possibly see, maybe an FCS upset of a Division I program in New Mexico. So we'll see. But anyway, college football gets going and the AP Top 25 came out yesterday. I would say not exactly the same, but pretty darn similar to what we saw in the coaches poll that came out a week or so ago. We saw Kansas State up in the top 20 at around 18 is where they were sitting. And then you had Kansas coming in at around 22 in the AP poll. And the cool thing is 5 teams from the Big 12 making the top 25. Number 12 was Utah, followed by number 17, Oklahoma State. Kansas State is 18. Then you've got Arizona at 21, and then Kansas at 22 are your 5 teams from the Big 12.
I thought it was nice that very slightly the Big 12 did get a little bit more respect. So you've got Utah up a spot, KU up a couple of spots, and then K-State and OSU, Oklahoma State, that is essentially flipped their spots there with the coaches poll having K-State 17, Oklahoma State 18, AP poll having it the other way around. So that was sort of cool to see. And I know, like I said, very slight changes, but at least in my mind, those feel a little bit more accurate to our personal sort of views on the regional teams. I think K-State at 17 and or K-State at 18, and KU at 22 feels, I think, a little bit more accurate than K-State at 17, KU at 24. That's just me. It feels a little bit more on par. No,
I still think KU's maybe a spot or two low. I still think that. If it was me and I was an AP voter, I think I'd have like whatever they'd be, whether it's 18 for Kansas State, it'd be like 18-19 or 19-20. I think Kansas and Kansas State are in the same boat this year. I feel like they're in the same boat. It was fascinating. I can't find it. It was on Twitter, but they had a graphic on X yesterday of all the AP voters. There's probably, I don't know how many there are, probably 50, ballparkish, maybe a little less.
No, off the top of my head.
It's around 40 or 50 AP voters that get, I don't know, the special seal of approval to be the AP, whatever. And so anyway, and they're from different publications from across the United States. And it's interesting. They made a graphic of every single person's top 25, how they voted, because this is kind of the average. And so anyway, they looked at each individual. And it was interesting to me to see who ranked. I got to find that. I'm going to see if I can find that real quick. I was looking at it yesterday, but anyway, they were showing that like some people, and there was a person who had Kansas State picked as the number 11 team in the country. Ooh. The number 11 team in the country. It was interesting to just see kind of where that was. I knew I should have flipped and marked that. But it was interesting to see all those different people's opinions on where people thought they'd say. But here it is. I found it. Perfect. Let's see. I'm going to try to go. But yeah, K-State, I'm going to see who picked this. Oh, it was Brett McMurphy. That's right, who had Kansas State at number 11. Brett McMurphy, who was a voter for Oklahoma State. They kind of say who they're kind of affiliated with somewhat, which I didn't know he's affiliated with Oklahoma State. But anyway, he had Kansas State at number 11, and then he had Oklahoma State at 12. He had Kansas at 25, did Brett McMurphy, which I thought was a little bit low. Now, I'm going to search through here and see if I can find who had Kansas the highest ranked. Yeah. At this point, and once again, these graphics are very small, so if you see me squinting, it's not because I can't see, it's just that it's very small.
Sure, yeah, whatever you say,
Ross. Kelly, and God, I can't even see that name, Martia, something like that, guy from Wisconsin, he had KU up at, no, who is that? No, this was the TCU guy, Steven Johnson. He had KU at number 18. That's the highest. And he had Kansas State at 20, which honestly, I'm kind of in that boat a little bit. Kansas has proved more to me than Kansas State with the pieces that they have coming back.
That's my biggest thing. I think you hit the nail on the head with your diction there. I think the word choice proven gets me the most because that feels like in a preseason poll, whether it's coaches or AP, aren't they going on proven product? To a certain extent, you look at recruits and transfer portal additions and losses. And so that's something new that they have to judge that they didn't really have to judge in years prior. So I understand that. But it feels like KU has more proven product. And I'm not saying that they should be up there ranked at 15 or something. I'm just saying I'm a little bit confused looking at whether it's the AP poll, the coaches poll, even to a certain extent, though a lesser one, the Big 12 media poll, why KU isn't ranked a touch higher. Because all of their skill players, every single one of them, essentially, is coming back. Every single one of them is proven.
I think it might be defensive, like we've talked about before, defensive front seven. I think we know the
defensive front seven has to be
a concern, possibly.
It has to be the biggest and maybe the only question mark on this team, aside, of course, from Jalen Daniels' health. And I'm not saying that you should sweep his health under the rug. We've talked a couple of times about the fact that hamstring issues and, in his case, back issues just hang around. If they're not fully healed, they can be re-aggravated very, very easily. But I think that if you can keep him healthy, this is a very dangerous team. You have experienced skill players goes a long, long way in big football games. And I think a big thing that a lot of people aren't considering with Kansas, look at the Hawks' schedule. You've got the three teams at the top of the Big 12. You don't have to touch two of them. Utah, Oklahoma State, and K-State are the three teams picked. Whether it's betting odds, whether it's media poll, whoever it is, they all say those three are going to be in a race at the top of the Big 12. Guess who KU doesn't have to touch? Two of those three. They don't
K-State
have to
only
play.
has one ranked, or sorry, KU only has one ranked team on their schedule.
It's crazy. They're at Kansas State, and that'll be a tough game. It's a rivalry. I get it. And they've lost whatever it is, 14 or 15 in a row now. I'm not saying that's an easy game, but it's only one game. Iowa State will be a tough test. They're realistically probably a top 30 team. I know that they're technically not ranked, but they're on the fringe there. At Illinois, week number 2, that'll be a tough non-conference test. You in BYU as well. I'm not saying they have a cakewalk schedule, but as far as teams that can compete at the top and will compete at the top of the Big 12, it feels like they have the easiest path to finish with one loss because they can realistically play at a, what does the coaches poll have them at, number 24? They can play at a number 24 level, lose to K-State, beat everybody else relatively handily, and be just fine. Waltz into the Big 12 championship game. I think that's sort of crazy that you can look at that schedule, easily see one loss and only one loss, and say, all right, this team is number 24.
And to piggyback off of that, that's where this article from the AP Top 25 Reaction comes in on ESPN, talking about the floor and the ceiling. Kansas's ceiling, according to ESPN, is unbeaten at 12-0, which, by the way, for Jayhawk fans would just be like heaven on earth because of all the rough seasons they've seen. The floor is 6-6. And I think that probably happens if Jalen Daniels goes down in one of the first 2 games.
Sure.
I think that's probably a stepping stone to that. Not saying it will happen, but I think you look at that. But if Jalen Daniels is healthy in place, the ability that he played to a couple of years ago when he was healthy, a 12-0 place is right there because of the schedule that sits in front of you. Now, once again, as we've said before, the schedule fluctuates and changes throughout the season. You don't know who's going to be better than you thought, who's going to be worse than you thought. You just don't know. All that stuff changes every single week. And so you just don't know what that schedule is going to look like when it's all of a sudden you look at it like, oh, geez, you know what? Kansas had the easiest schedule back on August the 13th. But now you're sitting here in October 1st, and all of a sudden you have, boy, Houston's off to a great start with Willie Fritz. They're a fringe top 25 team. Iowa State is in the top 25. BYU has found their footing. They're a physical team, and they're a top 25 team. You just don't know.
True.
You just don't know. That's the thing. So that's the thing. It's always interesting. But I think for right now where we sit, Kansas has got a great spot to be in. And in comparison to Kansas, and like you said, that K-State game is the swing game. It is a big one. They got to get over that hump. You've lost to them 15 straight times. You got to get over that hump. And I think of all the years, if Kansas is healthy, this is possibly the year to do it. You've got a new young quarterback for Kansas State. Who knows where his health will be at that point in time on October 26th. Once again, I'm not saying Avery Johnson is weak or anything like that. I get concerned a little bit. It'll be his first full season of starting and playing every single snap. And will he get beaten up with a new offensive line? I don't know. We're going to find out. But that's interesting. You go to Kansas State, and their ceiling is only 11-1.
Yeah,
they're predicting someone to have a loss to them. And I think the thing, and their floor, by the way, is 6-6 as well. Still a bowl game. I'll tell you what, and they said the key game for them is Oklahoma State on September 28th. I'll tell you why I think it's actually earlier.
Ooh.
I think the game.
Arizona.
I think Arizona is the key game. I think you want to get a good feel for who you are. You're going to play Arizona, and that's a non-conference game. Even though it is an in-conference game, it is going to count as a non-conference game because it was pre-scheduled before these conferences realigned, of course. I think that to me is the biggest game. That's a really good Arizona team that's going to test you right out of the gates, and we're going to see what you can do if you're Kansas State right out of the gates. I think that's a really stiff test. And K-State, by the way, has 3 ranked teams on their schedule in comparison to just 1 for KU. So things are setting up better for the Crimson and Blue than it is for the Wildcats, at least on paper to start the season. And even in the AP poll, like I said, it reflects on the average, and that means most people pick Kansas State better, but I'm kind of riding with the people who have Kansas a little bit higher than Kansas State, at least schedule-wise and just way it is on paper right now. That could change as the season progresses on.
That's my biggest thing is, while I'm not saying that Kansas is better, is going to be better, I think they might be, but I'm not saying that definitively. My point is more exactly what Ross mentioned at the end there. The path feels easier. The path feels more straightforward for KU. And I also think there's a couple of more interesting. Big Ten and SEC supremacy is still crazy to me. We've talked a lot of Big 12 at this AP poll, and I know that the top 10 isn't all that different from the one we got in the coaches poll last week. But get this, 4 of the top 6 teams are SEC. 8 of the top 9 are SEC or Big Ten. The only one that isn't is Notre Dame, who's unaffiliated at number 7. That's pretty wild to me. Not that it wasn't expected or those teams won't really be that good. I'm not saying that. It's just a little bit crazy to see you're looking for your first Big 12 team. You think it's probably going to be Utah because they're picked to finish top. And you scroll and you scroll and you keep on scrolling. You get to number 12 before you even get there. And it's not hyperbole to say that you could only squeeze in 1, maybe 2 Big 12 teams into the college football playoff, as much as that might stink.
I keep scanning through this AP top 25. Who voted for what? It's just funny to see this. For those who are wondering about other regional teams, I'm trying to see if there's any Colorado on here. I have not seen much. And after what Coach Prime did to a couple of reporters at a press conference there in Boulder a couple days ago, I can understand why.
Guys.
Oh man, that was rough. And to the guy, I forget where he's from. I think he's from the Denver Gazette or something like that, Denver Post Gazette. Yeah, that was not a good look for Prime, to say the very least.
We were talking, by the way, about these other Big 12 teams being fringe and saying maybe they're not actually ranked, but they're going to squeeze up into the top 30 and make this a tough contest. Iowa State, by the way, of teams not in the not in the top 25, they were 5th in most votes outside of that top 25. So that would place them right at 30. And then West Virginia at 32, again, as far as most votes received, not by a top 25 team. They're number 7, Iowa State number 5. So mathematically up at 30 and 32. So while Kansas and Kansas State don't have as many ranked teams, both have Iowa State and West Virginia. And actually both KU and K-State are in West Virginia. That's not exactly an easy game, those Iowa State games. I think a lot of these Big 12 teams in general, especially when you're on the road, may fly under the radar when in particular they're not ranked or they're ranked real low. But remember, they're fringe. They're right around that top 25, so they can make for dangerous opponents.
There are quite a few voters that have Utah in the top 10, including one who has them ranked 7th. That would be Garland Gillen out of LSU, who's got Utah rated. Here's another one that's got him ranked 6th. That'd be Kirk Bowles out of the Houston Chronicle. He's got him ranked 6th. So there's some love for Utah, especially in the top 10. Like I said, no Kansas State and no KU in the top 10, but they are in the top 15, both respectively. Nebraska fans out there, a little bit of respect. John Wilner from the Pac-12 has Nebraska as a top 15 team, coming in at 14. Believe it or not, I don't know what they're drinking out there.
Wow,
and
you need some of that.
There's another guy, Kirk Kinney. He's at the San Diego Union Tribune. He's got him ranked 21st. So I don't know what they're drinking out in California, but they're apparently drinking something.
It is California.
But yeah, I did not see any love for Colorado on any of the AP voters.
I saw one.
You did?
They get 1 point. They got 1 point. They got 1 point, which means I think technically that they slotted in at number 25 on one person.
Oh, yes, you're right. Here we are. Number 25, that would be Fox's Mike Hill.
Oh.
Mike Hill. You see him on telecast. Mike Hill, who does a halftime post. Okay, so yeah, they got one vote. Yeah.
The actual number 25, by the way, is Iowa, which will again be a conundrum. I think that's going to be so funny.
I read somewhere that their spring game or they had a scrimmage in their quarterback, which is Cade McNamara, former Michigan guy. He went like 7 of 20 with.
I've got the stats for you right here. So there was a scrimmage at the Iowa Hawkeyes scrimmage. I think early this week. It might have been this weekend.
Probably on Saturday. Most times it happens on Saturday.
I think so. There was a CBS reporter there who unofficially charted this. So this was based on him with his notebook out taking stats of McNamara. So technically not official. But Cade McNamara coming in, I think this is now his 5th season, coming in hopefully to be the quarterback of the Iowa State Hawkeyes, who will have, by the way,
Iowa Hawkeyes, not the Iowa State Hawkeyes, just Iowa.
I said State. Sorry,
Iowa Hawkeyes.
Iowa Hawkeyes, who are going to have a spectacular defense once again. But the problem, it seems, will be right there under center. He went 7 of 21 for, get this is wild, 20 yards. He threw 20 yards the entire scrimmage on 21 pass attempts. More pass attempts than yards. He took a sack, threw a pick 6, and fumbled a snap.
Okay.
That's horrible.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to give him a little bit of grace. Then we got to get to break because Jeff Hennick is going to be waiting for us. But anyway, I'll give him some grace. Number one, I think Iowa's going to have a top 10, top 5 defense.
Oh, they're going to be incredible.
So he's playing against a very good defense.
Still.
Number 2 is, I don't know what he has for receivers. I don't think the receiving core is great in Iowa. So I don't know if I can blame him if they're running a bunch of 5-yard hitch routes, and they don't catch the ball, or when they do and they're tackled on the spot, But those numbers are funny and they're not good. Iowa cannot figure out the quarterback spot. They can figure out defense. I mean, their defense is unbelievable.
It's going to be so
and their
good.
Special teams. Last year, Torrey Taylor was the punter of the Groza year winner. Or no, sorry, not the Groza. Ray Guy, the guy, whatever it is. I think it's the Groza, the punter award. Anyway, he's the best punter. Torrey Taylor was, and he's going to be on your TVs on NFL Sundays. He's great. But yeah, they win with defense and special teams, and offense is not their thing at this point in time.
Got left behind.
Oh, it's rough. All right, we're going to get to a timeout. We'll come back. It was fun talking the AP Top 25. Once again, Kansas and Kansas State both in the top 25, with K-State at K-State 18 and KU at 22. And then just kind of fun discussion after that. So we'll take a break, come back. When we return, we will be joined by Jeff Hennick. He is Oakley High School head football coach next here on the Blitz.
In recent months, some people looking for Midwest Energy on Google have reported sponsored ads pop up with different phone numbers connecting them to scammers. When online, always look closely at links and phone numbers before clicking or calling. Midwest Energy's only phone number is 1-800-222-3121. Any other number, and it's likely a scam. Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative, making energy work for you.
Summertime is here, and so are your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores with anything and almost everything you need for these warm days. Give your place a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep your lawn looking its best with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. And they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills from Traeger and Weber, plus the popular flat-top Blackstone griddles. Find it all and much more at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Colby and Goodland, open every day but Sunday.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
The Chevy Summer Drive event is going on right now at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, you can get a Chevy Silverado 1500 pickup with up to $5,750 of total rebates when you trade in an eligible vehicle, or get 1.9% financing on select 2023 and 24 model Chevrolets, plus no payments for 90 days. As always, go to hurlchev.com to schedule any service or check out what's on the lot, or just stop on by in South Goodland.
Paid for by Barking Publishing. Attention, anyone with diabetes or pre-diabetes. A special website has been created just for you. At the free website 66reverse.com, we reveal the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it helps to normalize blood sugar levels. People who have followed this plan, as found at 66reverse.com, report not only that they normalize their blood sugar, but stop taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's astounded approval. Now you can take this natural, safe, and drug-free approach to reversing diabetes. You won't find this advice anywhere else. At 66reverse.com, we reveal 3 common doctor recommendations about diabetes that we think are horribly wrong. Plus, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, that get your blood sugar under control in as little as 4 weeks. Go right now to 66reverse.com. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 66reverse.com and find out now while this revolutionary video is still available for free. That's 66reverse.com.
Back to the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer and Christian Peck-Dimit.
Fun discussion on the AP Top 25 in the first segment. Missing it, but of course, get your listen to it on the podcast, anywhere you can get your podcast. We have that. Also, another chance. We have one more ticket to give away from the Kansas Lottery with the Chiefs World Champion Scratch. You got one more ticket to give away to wrap up that promotion. Let's go to the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline, where we're joined on the phone by Oakley High School head football coach, kind of our first step in the direction of previewing the upcoming high school football season, Jeff Hennick. He's the Oakley Plainsman head football coach. Good morning, Jeff. How are we doing today?
Hey, great, fellas. It's always a good morning when you get a little rain and you come out and it's nice and cool. I just wish practice was starting this week, but it's a great morning.
Knowing you, my guess is that that scratch, that itch is really needing to be scratched right now, would be my guess for football to get started.
Yeah, it is. It's starting to get there. I think not only for me, but a lot of coaches around the area and a lot of kids. It's just an exciting time of year. The NFL preseason starts playing, and my Broncos look pretty good on Sunday, so I was pretty excited about that. But yeah, it's getting that time of year, and we're getting excited.
How do you feel about Bo Nix, Jeff?
No.
Oh man, I love it. I was really excited with the draft. I had high hopes on McCarthy, but then when you see the teams in front of him, he's probably not headed to Denver. But I like how quick he's got the ball out. He was always fun to watch in college. From Auburn, then up to Oregon. The ball was always out quick, and you saw a lot of that the other day. And I think he's fitting into Sean Payton's offense very well. I just hope that they don't start him right away. I hope they give him some time and kind of let him get into it. It's been kind of like that with the Broncos in the past. They draft a quarterback and throw him in right away and don't give him any time to settle down and get used to the speed of the game.
Jeff Hennick is our guest, Oakley High School head football coach. Last year, Coach, for you, a little bit of a tougher year, going 2-7. I know you've had a lot of time to reflect on that. What are you hoping that the guys learned from last year's season to try and apply to this upcoming one?
Yeah, it was a tough year for us, but I felt like every week we got better. Gosh, we were really, really young, and I think a lot of teams in the area deal with that, at some point in time. But when you're young and then you got injuries that go on top of that doesn't help. But also you got to look at it from a positive factors that you have to throw some kids in there a little earlier and they get their feet wet, and then come the next year they're a lot more confident. But we hope to build off of. We had a couple wins there late, and for the most part, I thought we played Medicine Lodge very tough, who was a semifinalist team who actually had a chance to beat Conway. I think in those two games they lost by 16 combined points the two times that they played them, and we lost 32-0 to Medicine Lodge, and kids played them tough. We couldn't get the ball moving offensively. But I think a lot of growth happened through the year, and I think some growth has happened through the summer. I think our biggest challenge is getting these kids to believe in what they're capable of. I think anymore, that's with any team. You can be physically, strong, and you can be fast, but the toughest part, and maybe I'm wrong, but the toughest part for me every year moving forward now is the mental aspect of the game with kids. I think they get too much into their head, and I don't think social media has helped with that at all. They're looking at everybody else, and they get mentally, worked up too much. And then they when it's time to perform, they don't believe in themselves like they should.
You had to play a lot. You said injuries and stuff played a factor, but you had to play, like you said, a lot of young kids. You had a lot of sophomores that contributed to last year's season. And I always feel like from sophomore to junior year, you see a big growth. How much growth have you seen over the summer, not only in what it may be the strength numbers, but in that maturity?
Yeah, very big. I think that's always part of it too. Once the kids start, believing what they can do, and they start eating a little better, and they start putting some weight on, and then they start to see the bar move a little bit heavier. I think that's a big contribution factor to them believing in what they can do. But it's just one of those things. Kids gotta, it's a mental toughness game. I may get hit here, but I want to go hit that dude before he hits me, and then maybe it doesn't hurt as bad. But the mental aspect of the game, I think, is where growth needs to happen the most.
How about turnout for the weight room this summer? It's always a big deal with a lot of, it doesn't matter, coaches, no matter what the sport. How was the turnout in the weight room? I know it's usually pretty good there in Oakley.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate with kids, and them buying into what we're trying to do. We saw some big numbers go up, here towards the end of the year when we tested, and I'm always very excited about that. But I think the kids get more pumped about it more than anything. When I was in school, we had a flip phone, and the videos or the sound, whatever you could record, was terrible. Now these kids, man, when they start moving some weight, they get their buddy to video it or whatever. I get excited for them too. I'm just like, oh, all right, man, post your video on whatever social media platform you got anymore. Get a few likes here and there, and it's pretty cool. I don't know. I about can't keep up with all the social media platforms anymore.
You bring up a fascinating point that I don't know if I've ever had a coach talk about, but to grow as a coach, going from just like you said, the flip phone era that you and me grew up on, to now where everything is posted to social media, whether it's TikTok or Snapchat, whatever it may be, and to keep up and to accept that as being part of the locker room has got to be, that's something that the coaches kind of have to figure out.
Yeah, it is. And gosh, I don't have the Instagram or the Almost Fridays or I got a small Twitter account, but geez, I don't even think kids hardly use Twitter anymore.
I don't think they do either.
Yeah, no, I love it. There's a lot of guys that I follow on there, and I pull good stuff from. But that's one of the things we got to try to keep a handle on. Sometimes negative stuff comes up within a team, and you find out through the grapevine that this is what's going on social media, and I try to attack that. I'm not always the best at it, but you try to attack that, and you just got to tell kids, man, this isn't how you want it. I've tried to tell the kids, many a times that, no one's gonna remember what you did in high school, your stats. No one's gonna remember that you ran for 6 touchdowns this night, or had this many tackles, or picked up this fumble and did this, or what girl you dated in school. But I always tell the kids, one thing that everyone is always going to remember is how you treated them. And I think that's a very important thing that a lot of kids don't understand anymore. You got to make people feel wanted. You got to make people feel wanted in a part of your program. Not only that, but in your school. Just you saying, hey man, what's up? What's going on? May not mean much to you, but to that kid who walks to school every day, or it's a tough home life. It may mean the world to them. And I don't think we have enough of that anymore.
That's a fantastic point.
Is that a difficult thing as a coach to sort of balance? Not only I want to get the best football player out of you, but also the best, all around person.
Yeah, you kind of cut out there, Christian. Repeat that question again. Sorry.
I was just wondering if it's a difficult thing, or I guess how difficult is it to balance that? I want to get the best football player out of you, but I also want to get the best all-around person.
It's tough, and sometimes I'm not great at it. But one thing I do want the kids to know is, I try to give my kids, my staff, people around me, the respect that they deserve. But then sometimes we got people that try to take advantage of that, and they don't give it back to you. And I think that there's a stepping stone, and there's a maturity level in all of that. But it's tough, and sometimes kids don't understand tough love anymore. They think that when you get on them or you coach them, sometimes people mistake your passion for the game and for what you want out of a person later on. They mistake that for you're mad or you're being mean, or and that's not how it is. And I try to tell my parents at the parents meeting, don't ever mistake my passion, for the game for, me getting on your kid. I know it's not easy to get on your kid, and I hope they understand that. But at the same time, when that kid does something really good, I'm going to be the first one there, chest bumping them or patting them on the hind end and saying, hey man, way to go. That's what I want.
Once again, Jeff Hennick joining us here on the Morning Blitz through the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline. Coach, could you give us a couple of kids that you're looking to really have some good breakout seasons or step up here this year? Guys maybe played a little bit last year that you're hoping to turn things up here this season?
Oh, gosh. I could give you a couple, but then I would miss too many. I just hope that collectively as a group, these kids understand what they're capable of. All summer I've talked to them about it. You will only be as good as you come together as a team. You can be strong here, you can be fast here, but if this guy, doesn't want to support this guy, or this guy doesn't want to support that, it's not going to work. You can only be as good as you want to be a cheerleader for your teammate. There's so many guys that I'm expecting a lot out of. and I think that they know it. I hope that's something that they take into, their heart and say, man, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to bust my hind end, for my parents, for this town, for my coaches, and for the guy next to me. It's one of those things that I don't think, sometimes kids think about. It's one of those things. I don't know. It gets tough. Like we've talked about, it's tougher and tougher all the time. If these kids can come together as a team, good things are going to happen. And that's the biggest point that we got to attack and move forward with.
I got one more for you on the schedule. Two-parter. First, how unique is it to have the season start September 6th and not what it feels like August 30th, which I felt like, that would be kind of the typical starting time. It feels like it's starting a little bit later. Sure. And also, the schedule as a whole that you guys have put together this year.
Yeah, it's really nice to be starting just a little bit later. Very weird to start, like school starts before practice. That doesn't happen very often. But as far as a schedule, I think that collectively as a whole, we've still got a very tough schedule. We start off with Norton, who was a semifinalist. Then we go to Russell, who will have a whole new coaching staff. They've had some success here in the past that they haven't had in, 25 years. And then, we have Goodland come to town who, Goodland is an up and coming program. And then, you put a 5-star athlete, on that team and those kids rally around him. And that'll be fun for our kids, not just fun for our kids, but fun for towns to not have to travel, 180 miles. That was one thing that Mr. Lehman and I talked about is, hey, we're this close. Is there any way that we can make this work instead of driving, clear south or clear east? And fortunately, our ADs got together and they worked that out. And, it just worked out. And we tried to do something with Colby too. But, when you got home and homes and you get leagues involved, it makes it tough. But then, you still got the Smith Centers and the Plainvilles and, and even TMP dropped down and will be in our district now. So, it's just one of those things. Every year, your schedule never gets easier. Sometimes you're just ready to see kids graduate, but your schedule never gets easier. And I think that's what makes it the fun part of it, with the X's and O's is, figuring out maybe where you can attack a team or what you need to stay away from too.
That's you. Okay. You've piqued my interest one more point, but you were talking about, getting together and trying to schedule closer to home. Is that kind of the trend you kind of see happening a little bit? For a while, there was the deal. Oh, it's exciting to go play these new teams we've never played before. But as the trend kind of turned back to where, let's try and play things a little bit closer?
Yeah, I think so. In certain areas, I know, me and my staff and our AD, we're trying that, as much as we can. Just because, clear out here on our end of the state, we're losing. A lot of guys are losing kids. They're going back down to 8-man, which is still a great game. And, that's where their kids can be successful and where they can do stuff. But then, you get clear out here, you've got, us here at Oakley, Goodland, Colby. And then, our next closest guys are 5A and 6A schools. You got Garden, Dodge, Hayes, a lot of those guys. And that's still not an easy trip for any of us. But I think, it helps with your community too. I think when parents want to come watch kids, it makes it a little more feasible for them, with gas prices and everything. And not only that, but, I think it's really, really cool for small towns and communities to be able to follow their kids too.
Absolutely. Fantastic stuff. Jeff Hennick, Oakley High School head football coach. Jeff, thank you so much for spending some time with us here this morning. I look forward to visiting with you when the season gets rolling.
Hey, that sounds great, Ross. I always appreciate you having me on and always love listening to you guys. Take care and enjoy your year.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Once again, great stuff. Jeff Hennick, always love having him on. He's always got fantastic insight and loved having him on the show right there. Boy, that was good stuff. Great stuff on all facets of football, of life, of scheduling. It was everything.
I think you forget sometimes that, you ask so much out of these kids on the football field, but they are just that, kids. You've got 14, 15-year-olds that you're asking to do so much physically, and you're looking for them to be, help become adults as well.
Yeah. Football is a grueling game. It's a grinding game. And yes, and it's he's always had a great way of connecting with kids. Even when he was at his alma mater in Wallace County, had a great run, great showing there as a head coach, and then went up to 11-man Oakley. And he got Oakley all the way to the state finals a few years back. And now going through some tough years with some younger kids, but I just like the way he coaches. He's a great high school coach. He looks at what he has and he says, well, how can I give these guys the best chance to win? Just because we may do this doesn't mean we're going to do it this year. We have to do something different. And I remember one year he said, we had to change up the offense completely because we didn't have the right pieces to run what we were running before. So we're changing it up. And, that's what he does. And some years it works great. And, other years like last year was a tough year because you just don't have the pieces and you're playing the schedule that they play with the Smith Centers and the Phillipsburgs and all these other teams that are really good is a challenge. And there's also a fascinating point about the schedule, to see, and he forgot about Scott City. That's probably one of the closer trips for them, just straight south there on 40. But anyway, yeah, there are a ton of miles being logged across Western Kansas to play sports, no matter which one it is. It's amazing. So anyway, great stuff from Jeff Hennick there. If you missed any of that conversation, check out the podcast. All right, it's time to get to a break. We'll come back, wrap up the show. But up next, we will talk some baseball. While we're away, text the word Chiefs. We got one more Kansas lottery ticket to give away, the World Champion Chiefs Instant Scratch tickets. You went up to $75,000 looking for our final winner over the break. Text the word Chiefs to the FE Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Back after this.
In a crisis, your number one need is food, because when things go sideways, it's always one of the first things to sell out. But if you wait to stock up, all you'll find at the grocery store are crowds of desperate people and empty shelves. That's why FEMA and the Red Cross say you need at least 72 hours of non-perishable food. But here's the good news. For Patriots, the trusted preparedness company is offering listeners of this station a special buy one, get two free deal on its best-selling 72-hour survival food kits. This new and improved kit has 20 servings of delicious food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all designed to last for 25 years. It sells for $29 and has been rated 4.4 stars by thousands of happy customers. But when you act quickly and buy one kit, you will get two more kits absolutely free. That's 3 kits for the price of one. $58 in free food. Go to freefood1.com. That's freefood1.com. This deal won't last. Go to freefood1.com now.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
With 9 locations across Northwest Kansas, the High Plains Co-op continues to stand with you, giving you the service you need and deserve. They're here for all of your grain, feed, and fuel needs, as well as helping you manage the marketing and crop insurance sector with their HPC risk management program. Visit them online at high-plainscoop.com to get the latest markets, ag news, and information, or call them today at 785-462-3351. That's 462-3351. Continuing to stand with you is the High Plains Co-op.
No one rambles on better than Ross Volkmer and Christian Peck-Dimit
All you do is talk.
on the Morning Blitz.
Whoa, what happened there? I don't even know. Christian again.
Doubling up the music,
Christian,
baby.
screwing up the whole dang gone thing. Way to go. Jeez.
Hey, what's better than one music bed?
This guy putting together logs is starting to get a little questionable here.
What's better than one music bed?
With
two music beds.
Two rejoiner, two rejoiners. Mike, our listener on the text line, he is our winner of the final Chiefs instant ticket for the World Champions ticket. Also, some text line stuff to get through here real quickly. This was from earlier in the show. Mike wanted to wish Pac-Man, in this case,
that's me.
You wanted to wish you good luck in Texas. That is one place where they would sell their soul for a win. They could use a man with ethics down there. And then Mike had a question. And this is a good question. He goes, with our new radio owners, any chance getting the Rockies back? Yes, Rockies will be back next season, Mike. Rockies back on KLOE next season.
Ooh, I didn't know that was something we could announce yet.
Yes, we're going to have it back. We're going to have it back next season. Not this season, but next season. The Rockies will be back on AM 730 KLOE. So there we go. And that's got Jared fired up. So anyway. Also, I want to pass along another text line deal here real quickly. This came to me personally from a listener of the show, Larry. Larry wanted to pass this along to you. He says he hates to see you leave. Really has enjoyed the show, but he says Larry, for you don't know, is a humongous basketball follower and fan. He was a coach for a long time up there at Dundee, up in the Southwest Nebraska, and he has a basketball museum of memorabilia that he would love for you to come check out and see at some point in time. He's just a half mile north of the John Deere in Wheeler if you'd like to go see that. So there you go. Go check that out. You didn't tell your best friend Jared that you're heading out? You didn't tell him?
Man, I figured he was listening into the show.
Jared's shocked that Christian, this is Christian's final week on the show. He'll be gone. He's leaving us for Texas starting here on Saturday. He'll be leaving. So anyway, as we get out, we got to get to the walk-off. We're up against the clock.
A 3-run walk-off home run. A game-winning walk-off. With a
Rocket 102.5 is Kate.
Hit of the season. In walk-off fashion. That baby's go.
This computer today has got a mind of its own. Like, it won't play the markets, and it wants to fire things that it shouldn't. I know, it's being very, very weird, to say the least. That is for sure. Anyway, into the walk-off, on to baseball. Royals lose 8-3, 6-run bottom of the second inning. Brady Singer gave up. That was rough. Bobby Witt Jr., though, did have a solo homer. He continues to swing a scorching white-hot bat. And the Rockies build a nice 4-1 lead, only to see it evaporate in the late innings by the comeback team, the Arizona Diamondbacks, who just remain blistering hot and make me so happy.
I was going to say, I'm sure that made Ross
so
very happy.
I do have to give a shout out. Bradley Blaylock pitched amazing for the Rockies last night. He was really good. He had some wicked stuff. 95-mile-an-hour heat, had a great splitter and a great slider. He looked good. If they can get that out of Bradley Blaylock more times than not, the Rockies might actually have something in the pitching department to hang their hat on for a while. That was pretty impressive showing. And then the bullpen blew it in the end, including losing on 2 wild pitches from Tyler Kinley. Yeah, that's a kick in the groin is what that is. That's rough. Oh, and by the way, it's even worse for the Rockies. Chris Bryant back to the IL. Again.
What, 30-something? Was it 37 games he's played all year?
My favorite stat is that in Chris Bryant's time as a Colorado Rocky, he's yet to play 162 games, which is a full season. Yikes. He's been here for 3 years. It's bad. That'll do it for us today. Thanks again to Jeff Hennett. Great insight. Missing that, catch the podcast. We're back again tomorrow.